If you're new to plasticity, then this video is perfect for you. I'm going to show you everything you need to know, including the UI, the tools, and how to get actually comfortable modeling in plasticity. Let's start. Alright, so first of all, you need to get the software. So go to plasticity.xyz and get your version. Now you can go here to try it for free and pick one of these. Right now, free version, you're gonna have 30 days trial, and then you get Indie and Studio, right? If you are serious about modeling and you want to do some complex surfacing, cars, industrial design on a pro level, you need A-class surfaces in the future, Studio version is a no-brainer. Okay, the tools in Studio version, especially XNARPs, poly splines, align tool, square tool, etc., they absolutely bonkers. So get Studio version because it's fantastic. In fact, if you're gonna input Blender Bros as one word during checkout, you're gonna get 10% off. So grab whichever you want. But if you're just a casual, hobbyist, then Indie's gonna be fine. In fact, all of our Blender Bros courses right now are Indie version friendly. So if you're going to decide to get one of our courses, then you can use Indie version with them, or Studio, doesn't matter. Okay, cool. So you got Plasticity, you installed it, and now you open it for the first time. So let's talk about settings, which are really simple. Okay, now I'm gonna be using Blender presets because I'm coming from Blender, and most of the tutorials and courses are gonna be following similar keystrokes. So I suggest you set yours to Blender as well. So let me show you, right? You go here and you go to preferences, and under navigation you can choose what kind of software you want Plasticity to mimic in terms of basic keystrokes, like for example for navigation of the viewport. And mine is set to Blender. Okay, that's where mine is set to. So I'm using Blender navigation and keystrokes. Like I said, use similar one because a lot of people using the same thing, right? Now, other than this, I don't really change anything because the default settings are fine. On the performance, if you have a really good machine, you can set it to, to fast. You can set it to ultra quality. Doesn't really matter. It's going to slightly affect the speed of the viewport, especially when you have a more complicated scenes. But you can just leave it on default, it's fine. Okay, under appearance you can change colors of these buttons and everything. I like them set to blue. I like this kind of a color, that's mine. And also what you can do, you can change the UI scale, which is really nice, that they added it recently. So by default the scale of the UI is really tiny, so when you're using 4K screen, you're gonna be squinting all the time looking for shit, right? So just make it larger. The max is 1.3, which is perfect. You can see everything fine. So set it to zoom factor 1.3 and you're gonna be good to go. The rest you don't really need to worry about. Okay, I don't touch anything else. Literally everything else is just on default. Okay, now let's talk about the UI, right? The UI is really simple, okay? It's really simple, and the tools are really simple too, okay? It's not that as complicated as Blender, for example, because Blender has a lot of different layers to it, sculpting, video editing, professional farting, all it's there, right? Here is really easy, it's just modeling, it's straightforward, right? So first of all, we got a few panels, right? We got a left-hand side panel and a right-hand side panel. Now you can hide them. I would not recommend hiding the left-hand side panel because you're going to be using it. But the one on the right side you can hide because you're not going to be really using it much once you set it up, okay? So the left-hand side panel, I'm going to show you, first of all, everything that's in a scene, right? So all the objects in a scene. And we're going to come back to it later because there are 4 different types of objects, okay? So bear that in mind. Next, we're going to have this menu here with tools, right? Menu with tools on the bottom, and then the panel on the right. Now the panel on the right has matcaps, which you can change, and they're gonna be switching the look of your object. So if you want to have different type of highlight on your object, different matcap, you can change it here. These are custom matcaps I uploaded manually to Plasticity. That's a bit more advanced. Let's not talk about it right now, so don't worry about it. You may not be able to see this, right? Now all these settings here I would leave on default and I would not touch them. I don't really change anything in here. Occasionally you may want to enable 2D snapping, which I'll show you later, But other than this, I would leave it on default. I would leave object snapping on, which allows you to snap items to objects, to, you know, middle of faces, corners, etc. It's really useful. And I would keep the grid snapping, which is here, off. This one is quite annoying. You're gonna be snapping to grid and objects, could be very confusing and irritating. I never use it unless you want to create some kind of like a very, you know, even dimensions for objects. Then you may want to enable snap to grid, right? So technically you will not be using this. Once you set your matcap to whatever you want, let's say this one, I'll just turn it off. Okay, you don't really need to see that. You're gonna have more real estate and it's gonna be cleaner. Now the bar on the top is super simple. This one is section analysis. You can just basically cut through your model. So when you have complicated layers on your model and you want to cut through it, this is really fantastic. You can just, you know, cut through it to model something in a difficult area when you cannot reach, right? And this is just, you know, toggle on and off. This one is basically switch between orthographic, view, and for this you can use the same key as in Blender, which is 5 on the numpad. This one is toggling on and off the grid and the axes, and this one is the same as in Blender Alt-Z that toggles on and off the X-ray, so you can see through mesh to see all the edges behind the faces, right? Now these on the top here you can change with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which selects all of them, which is verts, right? Edges, faces, and solids. Now what are verts? Verts are points, and mesh in Plasticity doesn't have points of verts like you do have in Blender. It's a different type of software, so we don't have verts, but you got verts on curves, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So for solids, you're going to have only edges, right? Faces and solids, which is going to select the whole thing. If you click 5, you may be able to select everything depending on which mode you're in. So if you select this mesh right now, then you can hover over a face and select a face or an edge. I don't really like working like this. I prefer to switch between these. It's more precise, but you know, it's a preference, so you use whatever you want. So let's talk about these two menus. This one you're gonna be using all the time. This one you're gonna be using sometimes. Now this menu, you can add curves, which are on the top. Plasticity is a CAD software. It's a NURBS software, so you're gonna be using curves a lot for cutting, creating shapes, etc., you know, lofting, all that stuff. So that's why you have all these lovely curves here. And if you see this tiny arrow, it means there's more options when you click and hold, just like in Photoshop, right? Click and hold, and you got more options in here. I'm going to show you some of them, okay? So if I'm going to, for example, go here and press Shift A, which is going to create a line curve, and go to side view, I'm going to show you how to navigate in a minute, so don't worry about it. Shift A and click and right click to confirm. You see that we're going to have a curve, and if I press 1, you're going to have 2 verts on this curve, right? So if I'm going to, for example, press 2 for edges, select this edge and go here, and I'm going to split this you know, curve in the middle. You can see I can snap to the middle of this curve because we have snapping enabled here, right? Remember, you snap to object, right? And I'm gonna have a point in the middle, and now I can move this point up and create this kind of a nice curve. And if I double click that, it's going to flip into a nice Bezier curve. And that's how you can select verts. So only curves have verts, objects do not have verts. All right, let me nuke that. Cool. So now you have other curves in here like circles, you know, tangent circles. I'll show you later in a minute. And then you have solids like spheres, right? Then you have, you know, boxes, and you have also cylinders. So all the 3 main primitives, right? Cool. So now let's talk about 4 different types of objects or elements you can add to the scene in Plasticity. Number 1 is going to be solids, which is these, right? So if you click on this corner box and click here and draw a box, you can press C to draw from a center. It's going to be a toggle, right? Click and then click and right click. You confirm everything with right click in Plasticity, okay? So that created a solid, and if you look here in a scene, we have a folder called solids, and we have this box on the solids. So this is our first box on the solids. So if I created up, for example, now a cylinder, I'm gonna have a cylinder here under solids, right? And it's all gonna go to the same folder. So let's delete these, and now we're gonna create a curve. So let's grab this one and click here, right click, boom, and now you got curves. So I can have curves and solids in the same scene, and they're gonna be in different folders unless you're going to move them to one folder, because you can do that as well. Next we have sheets, which are basically like planes, so they're not thick, it's just a very thin layer of mesh, right? It could also be non-manifold solid. So if I go to 3, select this face and press Shift X to delete it, right? Then you will see my box will shift to, if I confirm this, right, to sheets. You see that? And if I go back with Alt Z, just like in Blender, and my face is gonna be recovered, you see it's back to solid. So sheets can be either flat surfaces like this. So watch, I'll grab this corner rectangle, create a rectangle here, and I'm gonna go to F menu and find patch to patch it, and I'm gonna patch it, and now my curve, if I confirm it, right, look here, right click, boom, it's gonna become a sheet, okay? And then you're gonna be left with a curve and the sheet, because the curve remains unless you're gonna delete it with X, okay? Now if you don't know any commands, you can go to F and find them. You can also add commands to favorites by right clicking them and adding to favorites, or you can assign a shortcut, right? Like for example, I have a few shortcuts assigned to my favorite commands, and I'll show you that in a minute. Now the last element in Plasticity that you can add is gonna be an instance, okay? So if I'm gonna click on this mesh and I'm gonna go to F menu and type instances and create an instance, the moment I create an instance, you'll see we're gonna have instances in here. And instances, just like in Blender, if you're gonna go to the mesh they were created from and press 2 for bevel, and you're gonna just move your mouse creating a bevel, you see that instance will update. So until you're going to realize that instance, right? So again, instance and realize instances, which will become a mesh and move it to solid, then you're gonna be working on instances, okay? So you can create instances from meshes, you can then realize them when you're done, and they're gonna become a solid, okay? Makes sense? So you got 4 types of different objects. You got curves, sheets, solids, and instances, okay? Now let's talk about navigation. So it's just like in Blender, okay? If you want to rotate your viewport, just hold middle mouse button and rotate. And if you don't have a mouse with middle mouse button, just fucking buy it, okay? Don't be difficult. And then if you want to pan, just hold shift and middle mouse button. And if you want to switch your view from left to right, top to bottom, you can use Alt, hold middle mouse button and just move. So you can hold Alt, press middle mouse button and move your mouse to left, up, bottom, you know, etc., right? So it's really, really easy, okay? So again, middle mouse button to rotate, shift and middle mouse button to pan, Alt and click middle mouse button and move your mouse accordingly to left, right, top, bottom to change the view. Here you can see on the top, right? Perfect. So let's do some simple modeling, shall we? Let's grab a cube. So click here and we're going to click here, press C to draw from the middle, right? And you can see it snaps to create a perfect square, but we want something a little bit longer. Left click, drag it up, left click, and then right click, okay? Before you apply this, you can still, you know, adjust it if you want to with this gizmo, right? And right click to approve. Now we're gonna get the box here and we can have some fun, right? So usually what you're gonna be doing, you're gonna be moving faces, extruding faces, or using booleans and bevels, right? So let's press 3 for faces, right? Select the face here and you can just move it in and out if you want to. Or let's say we wanted to create like an edge here. So we're gonna press Ctrl R for isoparam. So you need to have this face selected, Ctrl R, and you can switch the direction with tab, okay? So if you press tab, you're gonna switch direction in which this edge is flowing. And if you again forget any commands, press F and you go here to isoparam and you see isoparam Ctrl R, okay? So you can always kind of remind yourself what was the shortcut. We're still in the face mode, so select this face and then simply move this face in here, and we're gonna create something like that. which is cool. Press 2. We're going to select this edge here. We're going to press G for movement. And you see now we got this gizmo. And we can now move it. So move it on Y-axis, right? On this axis. So Y. Hold Control. And if you hold Control, you can snap it now to this corner. Boom. See that? So we can create this kind of a perfect, nice, slanting, really shallow chamfer. So now we're going to select this edge here. And we're going to move it up or down. If you move it down, you're going to be creating chamfer. If you're moving up, you're going to be creating bevel. All right? And approve it with right mouse. Now we're going to select this edge here and bevel it. Now we're going to hold Control and we're going to click on this edge. And if you do that, it's going to copy this bevel to this other selected edge. And before you confirm this bevel, you can copy it to as many edges as you want. Hold Control, click here, boom, right? If you want to create the same size of a bevel after you created the bevel, you can do it as well by simply clicking here, starting a bevel, and clicking on the bevel you want to copy the size from. Boom, right? And there you go. If you want to go back, simply press Alt-Z, okay? That's undo. Awesome. So now let's run some Boolean, shall we? Let's grab this cube and, or in fact, let's run it with a cylinder. Let's grab a cylinder and let's go here and press Alt-Z to remove this X-ray view. It's gonna be a bit easier. And let's snap it here, okay, to this middle of this face. Now, when I'm gonna start drawing this cylinder, you will notice that if I click it and move it down, it's gonna turn red. Why? Because automatically Plasticity assumes that you want to Boolean this, right? So it's going to create a Boolean difference Boolean operation. Now, if you look here on the right side on the bottom, this is a contextual menu for this operation. So if you go, for example, to the top, it's going to be blue, which is union Boolean. Red is going to be difference Boolean. But you can change this operation by using these shortcuts here. So if you're going to press T, for example, or you're going to press B, for example, it's going to be performing different operations. So T, what it will do, it will cut this with a Boolean, but it will preserve the cutter, right? Just like shift click in hardops with hardops and box cutter. So if I press T and right click, it's going to approve it, cut my mesh, so press 4 for solids to move this, right? GUI, and see that we got this mesh preserved, this cutter, but we also have the cut. Now, if I'm going to just cut it and press B, something different is gonna happen, watch. So if I'm gonna go here again and press B, I'm gonna create a new body, which means I'm not gonna cut anything. I'm gonna simply draw a cylinder in this area. So if I go GZ, now you see I have a cylinder, but I haven't cut the mesh. So you can use it now as a cutter. So, pop it in here somewhere, then approve it with right click. Now we're gonna select this one, press Q, which is gonna activate Boolean operation, which is why it's turning blue. Select this one, which is gonna cut this mesh, and I'm gonna drop it a little bit lower, and you see that turns red. And now I can change this operation to something different. I can change to a slice, to a union with Q, right? Or for example, Shift E to intersect, or for example, Shift Q, right, to slice. So you get all kinds of different operations that you can perform in here, right, with this Boolean. So let's go with W, which is a difference, and then we're gonna press right click to approve it, and there you go, there's your cut. Now, if you want to dive deeper and you want to learn Plasticity really well, and you want to learn it from a very well-structured curriculum, then grab our course, The Ultimate Guide to Plasticity, which is going to show you everything you need to know about the software, and it's going to guide you through the whole process. We're going to be designing a sci-fi ship with an interior, which is really fun. Then we're going to be bringing it to Blender through Plasticity Bridge add-on. We're going to be texturing it, rendering it, and also editing the render. So there's a whole course. And this course is going to teach you not just how to design cool stuff in Plasticity, but also how to use all the tools and all these techniques, mainly surfacing. There's gonna be a lot of surfacing in that course, so it's a really fun course and I highly recommend it. So grab it. it's on our website. It's blenderbros.com/plasticity. So now let's have some fun with curves, okay? So let's go to the top view with Alt and middle mouse button. RR, hold Control, and we're going to rotate it, okay? And by the way, if you want to scale something, it's just like in Blender, it's S or SS. Rotating is R, and moving is G, right? It's the same thing, which is why I told you it's really easy to, you know, if you transition from Blender, it's super easy to learn this. All right, so let's grab some curves. So let's grab this one, it's a Bezier curve, right? Let's hold and click here on the control point curve. So you can just click and click here, right? And click somewhere here to create a curve, right? Let's also create this kind of like a line here, like a guiding line. So we're gonna be able to create this other point exactly on the same elevation or position on the y-axis, right? So tap Shift here while hovering over this this vert, which is gonna create a guideline here. You see that? And we can pop it in here and approve it, right? Now let's move it a bit to the left, so GY, and move it in here. And then we're going to cut this mesh using curve. So with the curve selected, press C, then left click on the mesh, then right click on the mesh and press X to delete it. And then you go, there's a boolean, right? And now we're going to mirror this to the other side. So press 4 for mesh, select the mesh, press Alt X, and the gizmo is going to be in the middle of the world, and you also have some, you know, additional tools in here, which are a bit more advanced, but you know, they're for the mirror. So this contextual menu for the mirror, and click on the side you want to mirror from to the side you want to mirror to, and then you need to approve it with the right mouse. But before you do that, you want to union halves, which means you want to combine two halves together, because plasticity will create two halves if you're not going to do that. So if you right click right now, I'm going to have two halves, so one on the left, one on the right. You can merge them by pressing QQ, so it's a union boolean, right? And approve it. Or you could just simply, right, Alt X, click here, press Q when you're mirroring. You see here, if you press Q, you're going to union merge them, right? So press Q, which is going to enable this toggle, right click, and you're good to go, okay? That's a mirror in a nutshell. Now let's press 2 for an edge. Let's grab this edge here, press G, and we're gonna move this inside to create this lovely chamfer. Select this edge, Shift, select this edge, so you're gonna select two edges, and we're gonna bevel this, so go up, and we're gonna bevel that. We're also gonna bevel these, right? So select them with Shift, and we're going to bevel them like that. Then we're gonna approve it. Select this one and this one with Shift. You don't have to select the whole loop with Alt, just select this one and this one. It's going to intelligently continue around the shape. So bevel this a little bit. And now we're going to apply a chordal bevel. But see, we're losing a bevel here because this one is actually not beveled. So we need to bevel this. So Alt Z, bevel these two, right? So just bevel them. And now we're going to be able to probably continue across this entire shape. Let me see that. Here, there we go. So select them both here, and then, you know, bevel them, and you can click on chordal, which is going to unify the size of the bevel across the entire mesh, right? Chordal, there we go. You can make it a little bit larger, maybe not that large, and approve it. And there's your simple model. Okay, there's your simple model. Now let's talk about some other interesting stuff. So if I'm gonna go to F menu, I told you, right, it's a search menu. You can assign custom shortcuts to specific commands, like for example this. These are marked in blue, and these are custom shortcuts created by me. So if you're going to add a custom shortcut, they're gonna be in blue. If you're going to by mistake overwrite an existing shortcut that's in plasticity by default, you're gonna see this in red. So if it's a conflicting shortcuts in the same state of the mesh, you're gonna be in trouble. But if, for example, if one of them can be activated only when the mesh is solid and the other when you're in the edit mode, let's say in edge mode, then you're fine. But if they're gonna be activatable in the same state of the mesh, you might want to avoid this because it's going to be conflicting. Okay, so for example, if I right click here and, you know, add a shortcut, you can add shortcut to patching, which is Alt W. So instead of, you know, next time when you have, for example, a mesh, right, that requires patching. So press 3 for faces, select the face, and Shift X to delete it. You see, I can press 2 for edges, Alt click this entire loop, and then go to F and type patch, or I can just simply press Alt W to patch it, right? And then I'm gonna approve it. So these are custom shortcuts, and you can, add as many as you want. For example, another custom shortcuts I have for toggle edges. Toggle edges. There we go. This one, viewport toggle edges, which is really cool. So if I press Ctrl E, it's going to toggle on and off edges, which allows you to see your silhouette a little bit better. So it's really useful, right? So you may want to apply these as well. Okay, cool. Now let's talk about basics of surfacing, because Plasticity is a surfacing software, so you may want to learn that. So let's say you wanted to create something more curvy, right? So we're gonna grab this curve here, and we're going to go to control point curve, right? So this one, okay? And we're going to click here, click somewhere here, go down, and click somewhere here, okay? Something like this. And we're going to duplicate it, so just like in Blender, right? GY here, and then Shift D to duplicate it. And we're going to move it on Y-axis here, okay? Somewhere here. You can also mirror this if you want to. So remove this one with X, select this one, Alt X, and just mirror, right? And approve it, same thing. So now what I want to do is I want to create another curve in the middle to drive the shape of this loft. So select this curve here, Shift D and Y, and move it to the middle. Hold Control to snap it, and then go to the side view and G, Z, and move it a little bit up, okay? So we got this, right? Now watch, I'm going to select them with Shift in the order of lofting, so from right to left, and I'm gonna press L, or just go here and type loft, right? It's the same thing. And it's going to loft them with this kind of like a curvy, curvy surface, right? Which is really cool. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna select this edge, and we're gonna loft them, okay? So press L. Now you see, by default, Plasticity creates this kind of like a G1 connection. Now what is G0, what is G1, and what is G2? This is a continuity in Plasticity which defines the quality of connection between edges and how the surface flow from one edge to another. G0 is going to be the shortest connection possible. So in this case, it's going to be a sharp corner. G1 is going to be sort of smooth, but not really perfectly smooth. And G2 is going to be closer to A-class surface, which is going to be basically flawless transition between them. And you can check it by going here and changing a matcap to this one, right? So you can see the difference between these two, okay? Right, see the continuity here. So let's just turn it back on. So G2 is fine here, so let's approve it. And now we need to combine these two because there are sheets. Lofting doesn't connect two sheets together, okay? So we got sheet here, right? And sheet here. So select them both and press J to join them into one sheet. Now we still have a sheet, so we have to patch it. And since these two surfaces are straight, we can patch them automatically, right? So we can go here and press Alt W, which is gonna patch both ends on both sides, and this sheet is gonna become a solid. So now you're gonna be able to, for example, boolean this, bevel this, whatever the hell you want. We can create a bevel here. You can hold Shift to slow the operation down. Hold Control, click here, and you're gonna have two bevels on both sides of the same size. And now you can have some fun and start creating some shapes here. So you could, for example, grab a circle, go here, run it, C, left, right, and X to delete it, and you could create a bevel here, and there you go. You got some interesting shape going on. Let's create a smaller bevel here. If you have these errors with bevels, just simply cancel it, run the bevel one more time, hold Shift, and you just have to control the speed with which this bevel is being created. Use a chordal, it's going to be even, apply this, and there you go, there's your shape. And that's how easy it is to model in Plasticity. It's a lot of fun. Now, obviously, there's a lot more to it. So to sum it up, really easy. You got curves, sheets, solids, and instances. You can use curves to create surfaces by lofting and patching or using X-narps. You can also create surfaces by booleaning, just like in Blender, using either solids, sheets, or curves, right? Like you've seen here, because you can use curves to cut stuff, right? And you can combine them all together to create stuff like this. For example, so you can use a curve to create a shape, and then you can use booleans to, drive cuts. And that's basically how you build stuff in Plasticity. Now, if you want to dive deeper and you want to learn Plasticity really well, and you want to learn it from a very well-structured curriculum, then grab our course, The Ultimate Guide to Plasticity, which is going to show you everything you need to know about the software, and it's going to guide you through the whole process. We're going to be designing a sci-fi ship with an interior, which is really fun. Then we're going to be bringing it to Blender through Plasticity Bridge add-on. We're going to be texturing it, rendering it, and also editing the render. So there's a whole course, and this course is going to teach you not just how to design cool stuff in Plasticity, but also how to use all the tools and all these techniques, mainly surfacing. There'll be a lot of surfacing in that course. So it's a really fun course, and I highly recommend it. So grab it. It's on our website. It's blenderbros.com/plasticity. And if you want to learn my favorite tips for Plasticity, watch this video next, because in this video I'm going to show you 10 amazing tips for hard surface modeling in Plasticity that I'm using every single day. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.